Salutations, respected viewers. I'm George from Ireland. So this video is going to be about two of my unfavourite topics, COVID-19 and Donald J. So I'm absolutely sick of both. They are both a pestilence on the planet, and I would rather that both were completely eradicated. But we can't wish them away. I know Donald Trump thinks that he can wish things away, magical thinking and all that. It was going to disappear. Remember, coronavirus going to disappear? How many thousand deaths is it now in the United States? Is it 36,000 deaths in the United States? So the US has just not only got the highest death toll in the world, but by quite some way. Spain is number 2, if I'm not mistaken, which is 22,000. Now, I know the Spanish population is considerably smaller, so all right, per capita, at the moment, Spain and the other countries do have a higher death rate, but death rate per capita. But if the United States really is the greatest, as Trump would have us believe, then surely it would be the very lowest per capita death rate of 193, not one of the highest ones. And don't draw the inference from that I'm saying the Republic of Ireland that we've handled this brilliantly, or indeed that the United Kingdom has. No, we haven't. Republic of Ireland maybe all right. The UK kind of mediocre. But Trump's been completely stupid about it. I know some states like California and New York have handled it quite well. There's only so much a state can do. The federal government's there. And as Trump says, they're only backup. Yeah, well, they call for backup. They need backup, so give it to them. Anyway, so Donald Trump is talking about reopening the economy. He's made so many wrong predictions. It wasn't going to seriously affect the United States. We had the situation under control. He said that on so many days in January into February. There were 15 cases in late February, and he predicted that there would be close to zero by I think it was the 12th of March. Couldn't have been more wrong. Just utterly stupid. Just moronic beyond belief. Is increased tens of thousands of fold under him. Tens of thousands of times it's increased. Wow. And some people stick with him. And you see his approval ratings are going down. Now, he's only about sort of a -8 on his approval ratings. He's -11 against Joe Biden in a hypothetical matchup. Well, Joe Biden is obviously a racing certainty to get the Democratic nomination. And I suspect that's what's weighing on Donald Trump's mind, because everybody knows he doesn't give a damn about anybody else, about members of his family, about his wives he was continuously unfaithful to. He was unfaithful to them, say having unsafe sex with a prostitute, let's glamorize her, call her a porn star, Stormy Daniels. By the way, I don't think it's an appropriate thing, a prostitute, completely respectable. I'd far rather any streetwalker as president than Donald Trump. So he could have picked up AIDS from her. We know there's been AIDS in Porn Valley a lot. He could have passed it on to his wife. Doesn't give a damn. So reckless, doesn't give a damn about his children. Deeply embarrassed by Donald Trump Jr. Well, at least Donald Sr. is right about one thing. Wishes he could take back that name that he conferred upon his firstborn. Anyway, so Trump was asked recently, so you want to reopen these states? You previously said that, you can't make them lock down, but you can lift the lockdown. How illogical is that? What an absolute moron. This Trump is Trump. The Trump chump is contradicting himself incessantly. So like always trying to have it both ways. He takes no responsibility, but he has total power, as he said. No, I know Article 2 of the Constitution does not give you untrammeled power. It's clearly delimited. Separation of powers? Ever heard of that one, Donald? I don't think so. So he says they're going to reopen these states, but there's no need to test. He claimed to have the capacity to test when asked by a journalist, but there was no need to use it. Well, if you've got the capability to do it, like the staff and the equipment, you do it, wouldn't you? Why would you possibly not do it? No need to. How do you know they don't have a low rate of coronavirus? I mean, they might not have presented. It costs about $4,000 on average to have a test. A lot of people can't afford that. They found out the majority of Americans don't have $500 spare for an emergency expense. And that was before this recession struck. It's a lot worse. 17 million people unemployed now. More people are going to go unemployed. More people are going to go bust. Even though who've got money, they got less than before. Their business making less than before. Their salaries might have to be cut. They're saving for a rainy day. It's a horrific situation. Now, I know he didn't start coronavirus, but he responded to it very, very poorly, and the economic impact could have been reduced considerably. Unemployment's not shot up anywhere else comparable by such a level. And I thought that Singapore is quite concerned about coronavirus. If I got this correct, Singapore's had 10 deaths. 10 out of a population of 5 million. All right? So they've handled it very, very well indeed, and a very densely populated city. An island 20 miles east to west, 30 north to south, and they've managed to contain it. That is staggering. It's just awe-striking. They've managed to keep it down to such a minuscule level. So Trump claiming he has the capacity to test all these people in the States with a relatively low rate of coronavirus, only he's not going to bother using it. He's that blasé. So either he's lying and doesn't have the capacity to test, or he is idiotic that he does have the capacity to test, only he's not going to use it. Now, so the latter scenario, that would rescue his honesty at the cost of his intelligence. Or indeed the former scenario, that would rescue his intelligence at the cost of his honesty. Now, we know he's completely deceitful and utterly imbecilic at the same time, so I suppose that's already a done deal. It's not worth wondering which one it is. But in this particular case, is it more the stupidity or is it more the mendacity? I'm not sure. He's incredibly deceitful. Like he would know the particulars, like he would bother to find out. He never does his homework, not even about basic things, about protocol, state visit to the United Kingdom, meeting Her Majesty the Queen. Every other president who's visited the UK has comported himself with dignity, has reflected credit in this country. Not Trump, couldn't be bothered to get it right. So the less affected states are going to start catching it more and more if they open up. State borders aren't hermetically sealed. Are they even allowed to block people from other states? I've heard that they're not. So you don't exactly have watertight borders with Mexico. Mexico might finally start building the wall, Donald, because they want to keep Americans out, got so much coronavirus. I'm being facetious, though, but America has got it worse than Mexico. Why reopen? Well, there's a trade-off between lives and money. I realise that. How many lives we're willing to lose, how much money we're willing to lose, what's the proportionality here? We don't know. These are only guesstimates. So Trump thinks only of himself. I think what he's thinking about here is what's going to stand him in the best stead come November, what's going to give him the maximum chance of being re-elected. And he reckons, I suppose, that the economy growing or at least stabilizing is better for him than mass deaths, than hundreds of thousands of deaths. So that's why he wants people to go back to work. Some will refuse, say it's just too dangerous. I'd rather be broke than dead. You know, money's no good to you once you're dead. Consumers can't consume when they're dead. Workers can't work when they're dead. So this is a false dichotomy between rescue the economy, save lives. Right, we need to find some via media. What is the ideal balance? That's an imponderable. Accept an acceptable number of deaths. How many is acceptable? I can't say. I can't be put on the spot. How much economic damage we'd like to do? Should we be willing to sustain? I can't put a figure on it. I mean, I know nothing about economics. So I loathe the lockdown. It's driving me nuts, as you can probably tell. But we need to maintain it. Then it comes on to the profanation of this rescue package by billionaires claiming money and getting loads out of it, and then some people who really need it not getting it. So what you need to do to manage a crisis like this is analyse both success and failure, see countries that have handled it really well, and could you transplant such a policy into your country and implement it successfully. All right, he's not expedited anything successfully in this lockdown. Yeah, he stopped those flights from China belatedly, but people who'd been to China come by third countries, they could still come in. He stopped flights from some European countries, not the UK, which had an implemented lockdown, where it was quite bad already, therefore getting quite bad. But anyway, Spain is easing off the lockdown a little. Some countries, Denmark, younger children go back to school. Some countries have contained it and they're taking steps towards getting back to normal. Perhaps that's premature. So Trump frittered away chance after chance to stop this coming in, and he praised China effusively for its cooperation, sharing all the data. Now he claims they're not. He's cutting aid to who? At exactly the wrong time. The World Health Organization, which he said was too easy on the Chinese. Well, maybe they were, but it's really not going to help, because these diseases recognise no borders. They do not stop at borders. As Trump would tell you, borders are somewhat porous. So what gets to Canada and Mexico is going to come to the United States. So he's trying to misdirect wrath towards China and distract people from his own manifold failings, manifest idiocy about just not having this nationwide lockdown, sending aid to China when the United States suffered a severe shortage of things, bidding against states to drive up the price of ventilators and everything like that. You know, publicly funded healthcare would have ensured that people were able to get tested and not spread it on. More of a welfare system would make them able to stop working, or at least if they weren't working from home, to stop catching it, stop spreading it. Slow to lock down. Didn't deal with the outbreak in the United States Navy, where they're all crammed together on a ship. Didn't use the military and their logistics expertise to get things around the country. Didn't allocate aid on the basis of need. It was on the basis of who was most obeisant to him, giving Florida double the aid it requested, because that's an electorally crucial state. It's a weather vane state. Whichever way that one turns is the way the country is going to go in the presidential election. It's all based on electoral calculation. It's cruel. It's sick. He's condemned people to death on the basis of what he thinks is going to give them the best chance of being re-elected. Urging people to go to church, wanted his churches to be packed at Easter, he said. That would be beautiful. Yeah, well, they have to step over a few coffins in the aisle. So many people don't get nuance. He didn't say they should, but it would be nice, and many people wouldn't pick up on that, and they would have gone to church on the basis of what he said, pushing pseudoscience, this moronic, snake oil cure for it, which at least killed at least one couple. So, wow, he's just got it so badly wrong. And this is where anti-intellectualism gets you: distrust of science, scorn for data, undermining his own experts at the knees, and on and on and on. And then flipping out, being such a little toddler, throwing tantrums when anybody asks him decent questions. Well, he's vile. Cursed be he. I really hope we'd see the back of him. I really hope he gets it. He should have an agonizing doom, and the ghost of Trump should be exercised forever. And I'm afraid the Republican Party deserves to be absolutely obliterate the election. I don't think this is going to happen. They might lose, but not that badly. There we are. Toodaloo.